Good morning. I'm going to call to order this meeting of the Transportation and Public Works Committee for Tuesday, August 25th. My name is Lene Palmisano, and I'm the vice chair of this committee. Chair Wright could not attend today's meeting, but with me at the dais today are council members, Councilmember Gordon, Councilmember Bender, Council Vice President Glidden, and Councilmember Yang. Please let the record reflect that we have a quorum. I will read through the consent agenda, and committee members, please let me know if there are questions or comments on any of these 11 items, and we can pull those for further discussion. Item number 1 is the water and sewer service line repair assessments, setting a public hearing. This public hearing will be set for October 13th, 2015 to consider assessments for water and sewer service line repairs that remain unpaid. Number 2, the recycling processing services RFP, authorizing issuance of a RFP for recycling processing services. Number 3 is the recycling refund policy agreement with Hennepin County, an amendment. Passage of resolution authorizing an amendment to the recycling refund policy agreement with Hennepin County for SCORE funds, that's Select Committee on Recycling and the Environment. For Minneapolis Recycling Program. It extends the contract expiration date to December 31st, 2016, and incorporates state requirements to provide additional SCORE funds for organics recycling. Number 4 is quarterly submittal of traffic zones, restrictions, and controls first quarter 2015 to receive and file. Number 5 is quarterly submittal of traffic zones, restrictions, and controls for second quarter 2015 to receive and file. Item number 6 is the temporary use agreement with the Minnesota Department of Transportation, authorizing temporary use agreement with MnDOT as an addendum to an existing management agreement number 66310, allowing the city to store the art glass and benches removed from Nicollet Mall during renovation in MnDOT's Ramp C storage area. Item number 7 is Zoll Petroleum Maintenance, a contract amendment authorizing contract C38763 with Zoll Petroleum Maintenance, increasing the contract by $18,050 for a revised contract total of $67,348 to allow for work not included in the original contract for the decommissioning of underground fuel tanks. Item number 8 is the water plant exterior stabilization project, a contract amendment authorizing the amendment to contract number C39557 with A&M Construction, increasing the contract by $7,663 for a revised contract total of $180,811 to allow for work not included in the original scope for the water plant stabilization project. No additional appropriation required. Item number 9 is the Hennepin-Lindale Corridor Reconstruction Project. Design Contract Amendment. This authorizes the amendment to Engineering Services Agreement number C38056 with Kimley Horn, increasing the contract by $268,250 for a revised contract total of $1,417,155 for final design services to provide the city with construction support services and extend the contract through December 31st, 2018. Number 10 is the Lynn Lake Municipal Parking Lots Impact Fees. This approves the impact fees for the Lynn Lake Municipal Lot for September 1st, 2015 through August 31st, 2016 at $940 per stall for businesses that had licenses, permits to expand their businesses, or city-approved plans to expand their businesses prior to September 1st, 1998, and $1,885 per stall for new businesses. Item number 11 is the bid for stormwater pump station rehab project, accepting the low bid of Veet and Company for an estimated expenditure of $4,701,760 to furnish and deliver labor, materials, and incidentals necessary for stormwater pump station rehab projects for our sewer construction division, and authorizing a contract for that project. I want to note that this seems like quite a bit of money, but there are 23 of them. Do committee members have any questions on these items? All right, I just wanted to make a quick note on item number 3. I just wanted to point out that we're actually getting to anticipate $320,000 more dollars in 2015 because of some additional SCORE funds that the county has received. Over half of those needs to go towards organic programs, and so we'll be receiving, my understanding is, $200,000 more for the recycling program and $120,000 more for our organics program this year. So that's great news. Seeing no other questions, I move approval of consent agenda items numbers 1 through 11. All those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Those opposed? The ayes have it, and those items are approved. Moving to the discussion portion of our agenda, item number 12 relates to contract extensions for the car sharing pilot program. Director Kotke, is my understanding that Scott Kangas will be presenting this item?
Good morning, Madam Chair. Yes, Scott Kinkus, who is our Assistant Parking Systems Manager, will make the presentation this morning.
Thank you. Mr. Kangas.
Good morning.
Good morning.
We are asking for an extension of the car sharing program, excuse me, from September 11th, when the contract expires, to the end of February, to give us time to totally analyze the information that we have received to date. And here we go. And to create a new policy for car sharing that will be equal for all. There we go. Madam Chair, at the current time, we have 3 contracts with our car, Zipcar and Car2Go. Zipcar has been planning since January to find off-street parking. This was an on-street pilot. So they've been looking for off-street parking and have found parking at free or reduced rates. So at this point in time, they have not expressed an interest in going forward with the contract, but they would like to reserve the opportunity to get back into the program at a future date.
Great. Is
Any
that
questions?
are there any questions? Councilmember Yang.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Several questions. With regards to this extension, I mean, once we get to the end of that extension, are we going to get to a point where we pick one of the companies, or are we just going to have a open system where anybody interested might want to be a part of the program? How are we looking at this long term?
Madam Chair, council member. At this point in time, we would have a program that would be open to any and all comers that are willing to abide by the policies that we create.
Okay, and if I may ask a few more questions. I've had 2 meetings with our car, or goodness, they all sound the same or look the same after a point, but I think it was Car2Go. And, I think one of the issues that was presented was just this issue of coverage of the entire city versus coverage of just the busy parts of the city. And, do we have any assurance in places that, these companies will try to do everything they can to reach all parts of the city, I mean, far and wide?
Madam Chair, council member. Yes, that's one of the things we plan to include in the new policy. That would be a border-to-border program, not just the core of downtown, as has been suggested by at least one company.
If I may, I'm going to go ahead and move to authorize the extension of the Car2Go and our car contracts as proposed by Mr. Kangas from September 11th, 2015 through the end of February 29th, 2016. Is there any further discussion? Councilmember Gordon and then Councilmember Bender.
Yeah, thank you, Madam Chair. I'm just wondering what the border-to-border program, what does that mean? What does that look like? Is the city divided into quadrants, and there's a certain number of cars that should be in each quadrant, or what do we mean by that? Just to get more specifics. So what would that?
Madam Chair, council member, we have not determined exactly what that will be yet. We have been investigating what other cities are doing to ensure that sort of thing. We have a lot of ideas, but we need to figure out what will work best and what we can ask people to do, what the companies to do.
Well, I can appreciate that. I think that that's been a point of some tension or concern, even when it's been rolling out, and we had the same issue with our bike share program and other programs. So we striking that balance of something that's viable and it's going to work for the companies, but also as government regulators saying, but we need and we expect this. So I'm just using this opportunity to up here, as council member, to say this coverage citywide is really important. If it starts to look like somehow the car sharing is serving certain segments of our community and not others, that's not going to work, and it's going to backfire. And there we have to find ways maybe to help and work with the companies to make sure we do get that border-to-border coverage so that everybody who wants it can access these services in this business. Thanks.
Madam Chair, Councilmember, that is our goal.
Thank you, Councilmember Bender.
Thank you, Madam Chair. On that same topic, I agree and I very much support that approach. I would encourage balance though, and I'm sure that's part of the thinking. I represent a part of the city where probably has higher than normal rates of people who don't own a car and really rely on these services when they do need a car. And so I think there are parts of the city where these companies are providing a different service when where service is really needed. And so I just want to make sure that as Councilmember Gordon said, that we're balancing what's going to work to provide a viable service, in parts of the city where these are really in high demand. So I wouldn't want to see us limit, for example, a company from operating in the city at all if they aren't able to reach the entire city, at least unless I had more information about how we could strike that balance.
Thank you. Mr. Kangas, I have a question. Will part of your analysis include some of the barriers to entry to pick up and to use car-to-go services either at all or more frequently? And I ask because I was surprised by my own use of car-to-go that there's almost 22% surcharge just by taxes alone in their fees. And that's quite a lot. I think that's a huge cost barrier to people that may use these programs as an alternative to vehicle ownership. I think it makes it difficult for car sharing programs to provide equitable service. It's one of the challenges. And ultimately, I want to help incent these kinds, not incent, but not limit these kinds of car sharing programs because I think these kinds of taxes put urban areas at a disadvantage to being able to adopt alternatives to their regular car vehicle transit. Is that a piece of your analysis? Is the cost, or is that not really up to us?
Madam Chair, one of the things we're looking at is the cost. Right now we have with Car2Go, they provide us GPS data and we have to analyze all of that, figure out how long a particular car was parked at a particular location and what the meter rates are. What we are aiming to do is get a flat rate per car number, whatever that happens to be. So hopefully that would reduce the fees to the companies and thus the customer.
That's terrific. Is there an opportunity, do you think? My understanding is part of the Car2Go, part of this 22% is actually made up in like a rental car tax and fees. Is that something that the state legislature would need to help us to remove for these kinds of car sharing programs? And I ask because it's potentially an opportunity to put it on a future legislative agenda if there's an appetite for that.
I don't honestly know. We'll investigate it.
Super. Any Councilmember Bender?
Thank you, Madam Chair. My office has actually been working with our IGR staff to add that to our legislative agenda for the year. It is a state issue, and we hope to change it. And we found a sponsoring legislator at the state.
Terrific. On the motion before us, which is to authorize this extension of Car2Go and Our Car contracts from September 11th through February 29th of next year in 2016, all those in favor of this motion, please say aye. Aye. Those opposed? The ayes have it, and that proposal has been approved. Thank you, Mr. Kangas. We have one item related to the University Avenue Innovation District redevelopment, which will remain on our postponed agenda until the September 29th Transportation and Public Works Committee meeting. Seeing no further business before this committee, we are adjourned.